So what does this mean in terms
Thanks.
of the Chinese economy and its recovery? How sustainable is this path?
So, Shari, we saw the Chinese economy improve for a fourth consecutive quarter since the downturn in early 2020. The good news, as you said, in 2021 is that the recovery is becoming less uneven and it's becoming healthier. And what we're seeing is that, contrast to 2020, when the economy was improving steadily, we're seeing far-flung parts of China, the lesser developed regions, catch up to the bigger cities, the major metropolitan areas. We're seeing private firms finally starting to do as well, if not better, than state companies. And we're finally starting to see growth reappear at a faster clip for SMEs, for smaller companies as well. On the sectoral side, we are seeing retailing finally take the lead. Now, some of that was, of course, because of spending over the Chinese New Year, but the path of recovery continues apace. Things are still not as strong as they were historically before the pandemic, but then nevertheless, the results are seemingly very positive at the headline.
What did you see in terms of the services sector?
The services sector is not doing as well as retailing. So we are, of course, seeing marginal improvement over the prior quarter, but we're not seeing blockbuster growth. And that, of course, remains a cause for concern, because if consumption is to lead Chinese economic growth, as, of course, we hear policymakers from Beijing talk about quite frequently, then we need a stronger, more powerful services recovery in the coming months and in the coming quarters.
We also see weakness from that report in the property sector, right? Is there a concern that these increasing restrictions will start to weigh?
Yeah, we actually, as a matter of fact, in Q4, end of last year, said that the property market is actually going to slow down. And we're starting to see exactly that. The sector that you're really starting to see struggle is construction. And also more specifically, transportation construction. Earlier in 2020, as Beijing was trying to sort of revive the economy, we saw a lot of infrastructure development, and we saw the transportation construction sector do quite well. Since then, it's lost quite a bit of steam. And now downstream, when you're looking at the housing market in China Beige Book data, when you're also looking at the commercial real estate market in China Beige Book data, results are, the market is starting to soften.
Do you expect meaningful spillover from the effects of the US stimulus package? Because by some reports, there are expectations that around $360 million of that will go directly into demand for Chinese exports.
Look, I think the stimulus over here should have a continued positive effect on the Chinese manufacturing sector. Manufacturing activity, by the way, continued to pace throughout the January or throughout the February through March period. And did quite well. And yes, we would expect that better manufacturing results, as a matter of fact, here in the United States and so forth, and higher demand will most certainly have a positive impact, a continued positive impact for the Chinese industrial sector, specifically manufacturing.
What are you seeing in terms of all of the deleveraging talk that we've heard?
Yeah, this might be one of our more counter-consensus findings this quarter. We're starting to see signs of deleveraging emerge. So a couple of important data points there. We're seeing overall corporate borrowing declining to about a 2-year low in the data. More specifically, what we saw was rather surprising. State firm borrowing actually fell to the lowest levels we've ever recorded in over 10 years of China Beige Book. And the clearest sign that there perhaps may have been, or perhaps deleveraging is starting to take shape in China, was the interest rates. Interest rates for state firms, at least on paper, spiked. And you see a massive gap there between what private firms are reporting that they're paying for their loans versus what state firms are reporting. Now, one quarter is not, does not a trend make. We have to see this continue over the next several months, several quarters, in order to be more conclusive that perhaps there is a very real deleveraging attempt this time in China, but signs are starting to emerge.